Right now at 5, Carl Junction's mayor, Mike Moss, is removed from office. What this means for the community.
And we've got a cloudy but dry start for our Friday out there. Also, a foggy start as well. Look at your forecast coming up.
Plus, more details emerging after a shooter opened fire at Annunciation Catholic Church in Minneapolis.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5 a.m. I'm Elise Snowy.
I'm Chris Warner. It's Friday. Excuse me, August 29th. It is Friday. We had a lot of rain yesterday. We had those flooding concerns yesterday. Don't have to worry about that this morning, but now we get to worry about dense fog, and we've got a fair amount of it across the region. We're going to start though with our live look from downtown Pittsburgh. Earlier it was a little foggier downtown. It has improved a bit, but these visibilities are likely to change again. The KDOT camera on 69 East 520th Avenue, just south of Pittsburgh, you can see it still looks a little foggy down there. Our camera 7th at Rangeline in Joplin looks all right so far. Same with the MoDOT camera in Joplin at 20th in Rangeline, but we're keeping an eye on all of it for the fog, and here's why. We have dense fog advisories. In fact, this has been expanded a bit since I last looked at it, but these run through 10 o'clock this morning. And you can see it's long and north. It's north of I-44 and then back in through southeast Kansas. And again, all of these will continue through 10 a.m. And this is why. Look at this fog. So we're talking one of the traditional locations, the 54 corridor, but we've also got 69 all the way down toward, honestly, as far south as here at the TV station. And then we've got I-49, Joplin. Remember, this report comes from the airport, so it's up on the north side, and our 2 cameras we have are a little further south, but it's reporting about a mile and a half, a little under a mile and a half visibility. Pittsburgh, Fort Scott, Iola, Nevada, Stockton, some reduced visibilities. Iola, though, you are at 0, and patchy fog outside of that zone. So the dense fog expected here, which is what we're seeing, and we do have some reduced visibilities outside of that. So again, low beams, not your high beams. Fog lights if you've got them. Slow down, and make sure you're giving yourself time to get where you're going this morning. On to the future track, though. Mostly cloudy skies out there for us today. Future track suggesting perhaps a sprinkle or two, but really I think we should remain dry for our Friday. Temperatures right now, 61 in Joplin, 62 in Pittsburgh, and around the region we are sitting. We've got some mid to upper 50s out there. We got 55. Stockton is the cool spot. A little warmer out west. Neodesha and Sedan both sitting at 66 as we get this day underway. Kids getting on the bus this morning should be about 60. We'll have that fog hanging on with us out there. It'll be mostly cloudy by lunch and recess time, low 70s, upper 70s, and still mostly cloudy. In fact, we're going to spend most of our day mostly cloudy. Fog continuing through 9, 10 o'clock this morning. Mid 60s by 9, low 70s by noon. Our highs today, upper 70s and low 80s with a southeast breeze at 5 to 10. So despite the cloud cover, we will be a little warmer. How is our holiday weekend looking? That is an excellent question, and we will have the answer to that in the full forecast in just a few more minutes. Elise?
All right, thanks. Well, after hours of testimony, the Carl Junction Board of Aldermen voted to remove Mayor Mike Moss from office. The impeachment hearing comes after 4 articles of impeachment were brought against Mayor Moss following allegations of workplace harassment. Tuesday night, city employees began testifying about alleged workplace harassment, including inappropriate physical positioning and comments that made coming to work difficult. Moss was also investigated for repeatedly asking the city administrator about retirement plans. The mayor's legal team called the proceedings a voter nullification, but council members said impact matters more than intention. Last night, the board voted to remove Moss from office immediately, declaring the mayor's position vacant. And this morning, we're learning more about the Minneapolis church shooting that took the lives of 2 young children and injured 18 people. Police now say the suspect had been a member of the Catholic Church where the shooting took place and may have visited the church in the weeks leading up to the attack to conduct surveillance. CBS News' Jared Hill has more from New York.
A coward decided to take our 8-year-old son Fletcher away from us.
Incredible sadness for the families of Fletcher Merkel and 10-year-old Harper Moisky, killed when a person opened fire on Annunciation Catholic Church Wednesday.
Please remember Fletcher for the person he was and not the act that ended his life. Give your kids an extra hug and kiss today.
Harper's parents wrote they are shattered and called on leaders to do more to address gun violence and mental health. Yesterday, the mayor of Minneapolis called for stronger gun safety laws.
There is no reason that someone should be able to reel off 30 shots before they even have to reload.
Police say the shooter, identified as 23-year-old Robin Westman, couldn't even see the hundreds of students and staff inside the church as bullets shattered the stained glass windows. At the scene, they found about 116 rifle rounds, 3 shotgun shells, and a live handgun round that police believe jammed in the chamber. Also, 3 legally purchased guns.
The shooter expressed hate towards almost every group imaginable. The shooter idolized some of the most notorious school shooters and mass murderers in our country's history.
In the search for answers, police say they're combing through hundreds of journal pages from the suspected shooter that they describe as full of hate and disturbing.
Now, police say hundreds of pieces of evidence have been recovered after they executed search warrants on 3 residents connected to the shooter. Investigators are also examining the suspect's electronic devices. A Missouri sweeping safety bill, House Bill 495, went into effect yesterday. Much of it focuses on property crimes. And as Adam Woodray reports, one of the biggest changes targets vehicle break-ins and punishing those criminals.
So hopefully this will be the deterrent that we need that will curb that instinct and that opportunity for suspects to do that.
Every year when August 28th rolls around, the newest public safety laws go into effect. Each year, lawmakers approve a slew of changes, often focusing on a specific type of crime. This year, property crimes are a hot topic.
In this particular instance, House Bill 495 does make some significant modifications, and you can tell that the House is really wanting to crack down on vehicle break-in.
Defense attorney Adam Woody says the legislature created a new statute when it comes to vehicle break-ins. Doing that is now a second-degree burglary and a Class E felony that could get you 4 years in prison.
So if someone unlawfully enters a vehicle for the purpose of committing a crime therein, and that would be any part of the body entering that vehicle, or even an object connected to the body entering the vehicle, that's now burglary along with buildings or inhabitable structures.
A lot of car break-ins happen when crooks check handles for unlocked doors. That's something this new law hopes to crack down on.
So if an individual is going around and checking the handles and trying to get into several different vehicles, for example, in a parking lot or parking garage, and we have that evidence they've been doing that, now with this new law, we can charge them with a felony.
The bill also goes over organized retail theft, which Springfield Police Lieutenant Jennifer Charleston says will crack down on thieves who are targeting multiple stores and people who try to make money by returning goods or reselling them.
So this is going to be very helpful for us because it adds another tool for us to hold criminals accountable from stealing from our area businesses here in Springfield.
These are just 2 parts of the new law. It also increases prison times for people convicted of sex trafficking, ends non-disclosure agreements in sexual abuse cases, and it increases penalties for tampering with water supplies in Missouri. And that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather coming up on the KOAM Morning News. It's been 20 years since Hurricane Katrina touched down in the U.S., and some places are still in recovery mode. And later, the surprising benefits that come from getting the shingles vaccine. And later, Chris has another look at your Labor Day weekend forecast. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. Time now, 5:08. We'll be right back. Well, topping Nation Watch 20 years ago this Friday, today, Hurricane Katrina made its second and most destructive landfall in the U.S., coming ashore in southeast Louisiana. But the powerful storm left a lasting blow in places like Biloxi, Mississippi as well. CBS's Katie Weiss reports the community is still in recovery mode.
Hurricane Katrina didn't spare Biloxi, Mississippi.
We swam down 4 houses, and this lady took us in and gave me these clothes, and here I am.
20 years later, the city is still rebuilding.
The water would have been over our heads.
Yeah, we've been 10 foot over our heads.
During Katrina?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mayor Fofo Gillich says it's been a constant battle with FEMA. To rebuild the city's pier stronger than before, they need $4 million. But he says FEMA has a different number.
$555,000, which is absolutely, in my mind, ridiculous.
The biggest unfinished project, upgrades to the city's sewage and stormwater system to better protect the city from the next monster storm.
We can't bid these last two projects unless we have assurance of funding.
FEMA still owes Biloxi $34 million to finish the work planned 20 years ago. But the mayor says the cost of supplies and labor have outpaced that.
How do you really feel about how you've been treated by this agency?
Well, it's just ridiculous. That's how I really feel. Come on.
FEMA has said throughout the years that your city wasn't using the money appropriately or was, making mistakes, and how the city was using the money.
I can tell you that's not right. Bottom line, I'm here to say we've done everything we could possibly do.
Biloxi is not alone. We found more than 200 other FEMA Katrina relief projects meant to help municipalities across Louisiana and Mississippi that still aren't done.
Almost like dealing with insurance agents, delay, depose, and deny.
This as Congress hashes out a potential overhaul of FEMA. U.S. Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem testified before Congress in May.
We still have claims outstanding in FEMA from Hurricane Katrina, wildfire claims from out west that are 10 years old. So that needs to end, and this needs some integrity to it, and making sure the federal government's there for support, but the states are empowered to do the emergency response is very important to President Trump.
We reached out to FEMA for comment and are still waiting for a response. Mayor Gillich is cautiously optimistic.
How much longer do you think it's going to take before these get done?
I think good 3 years. Again, the end result is righteous. It's going to be something that we can sustain a lot of the things, as far as what Mother Nature throws at us.
Nerve-wracking uncertainty as another hurricane season heats up.
And still to come, your daily dose of pop culture. We have a look at your eye on entertainment up next. Plus, Chris has another look at your Friday forecast. We'll be right back. Well, toxic superheroes, alien conspiracies, and a love story that pits science against the heart. Nick Zajovic has your eye on entertainment.
It's gooey, it's gory, and it's back on the big screen. Cult classic The Toxic Avenger has returned. The remake of the 1980s hit stars Game of Thrones star Peter Dinklage, alongside Elijah Wood and Kevin Bacon. There you are. For Wood, the role meant a metamorphosis, something he says doesn't come around often.
I haven't really gotten the opportunity to transform like that many times for a film or for a character. So it was just a thrill to totally transform and physically be represented in such a different way.
Toxic Avengers is in theaters now.
Good morning, Corey.
Emma Stone stars in the film Bugonia, a dark comedy sci-fi thriller where conspiracy theories collide with reality.
There is no possible scenario.
Follows two young men convinced that their corporate boss is more than just ruthless in business.
Where's my hair?
They believe she's an alien. Bugonia hits theaters October 24th.
Tell me that I'm making a good decision.
No, awful.
All of You, a tender and thought-provoking romantic drama, is coming to Apple TV. In the movie, a groundbreaking soulmates test drives a wedge between two lifelong friends, played by Brett Goldstein and Imogen Poots. They then spend the next 12 years fighting to stay on the paths they've chosen with their supposed soulmates, despite the undeniable pull that they're meant to be with each other. All of Us hits Apple TV Plus September 26th. That's your Eye on Entertainment. Nick Zajovic, CBS News, Los Angeles.
All right, it looks like there's some great movies. Stick around. Let's head over to Chris, actually, for a quick look. Oops.
Now I'm starting to wonder if maybe Elise is an alien in disguise here at the station. I mean, I'm sure some of you folks out there probably will question the same thing on the occasion with your bosses. Well, all right, looking at downtown Pittsburgh, looking okay, looking better than it did about 45 minutes ago, but dense fog is a concern this morning. We'll talk about that and our holiday weekend forecast and the aliens, I suppose, when we come back. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5:21 on this finally Friday in the 4 states, and we're going to take a quick tour of some cameras around the area. So far, again, looking better in Pittsburgh, in downtown Pittsburgh from our camera there. But if you go south, I mean, with the bright lights there, it's a little difficult to tell for sure, but it does seem as though we still have some light fog there, and fog still being reported around the Pittsburgh area. Our camera 7th and range line, there's some of the low clouds. We're not quite to the fog status yet here, but you can see the clouds dropping a bit. If you look off in the horizon, a little bit of haze out there, a little bit of fog from the MoDOT camera 20th and range line. And we do have these dense fog advisories through 10 o'clock this morning in the dark gray here. And the reason, of course, is the dense fog. Now, do want to emphasize this. We've had some patchy fog. Sedan, Independence, Fredonia, great examples here outside of where those dense fog advisories are, but they're in place because look at these. We still have Iola at 0, Yates Center just under 4, Fort Scott, Nevada, Stockton, all under a mile. Fort Scott's below half a mile there. Pittsburgh, Joplin, Carthage also below 2 miles. So this is impacting US 54, 69, I-49 eventually could get into parts of I-44 out there. So you've got to, again, low beams, not your high beams, fog lights if you've got them, and slow down. Give yourself time to get where you're going. As we discussed earlier this week, we had some fog up north. Keep in mind, too, that these are specific points on this map. There can be changing visibilities where it gets denser in areas that maybe it's not when you're traveling through one zone and it gets denser in another. So just be prepared for that as well. Fog should burn off by about 10 this morning. Then we'll be left with mostly cloudy skies. Now, future tracks suggesting a sprinkle or two. It's not out of the realm of possibility, but chances of any rain today are very, very low, like 2%. We'll have another round of dense fog overnight tonight into our Saturday, so you want to keep that in mind as well. As we go into Saturday afternoon, an isolated pop-up shower or storm is possible. And the future tracks kind of got them out here like spots on a Dalmatian because they really could be just about anywhere. But as you can see, it's also not rain everywhere all at once, and it's not a lot of it, so most of us will remain dry. And that will repeat into our Sunday, but starting a little earlier, could get a couple of actual organized showers out there, but that's going to be about it. We'll just kind of be dealing with additional, pop-up showers and storms. All right, so fog continuing again through about 10 o'clock this morning. Low 60s to start, near 70 by 11 a.m. And even though we'll be mostly cloudy through 90% of this day, we will warm up into the upper 70s, maybe even some low 80s out there. Into the evening hours, we will still be mostly cloudy. It'll be late evening overnight that we go partly cloudy, low 60s tonight. And again, dense fog once again overnight tonight as well. So we've got those pop-up storm chances. They have made a return for tomorrow, Sunday, still there for Monday. Temperatures seasonably warm, mid-80s out there. And next week, we're looking at some better chances of not getting into the low 90s, which would certainly be a nice thing, but it'll still be much warmer. Let's check your forecast. We're going to send it over to Elise now with Health Watch.
All right, Chris, thanks. Well, a cancer warning most Americans aren't aware of and an added benefit from a common vaccine. Here's a look at Health Watch. People who get the shingles vaccine have a lower risk of heart attack and stroke. A study in Europe found adults 50 and older who received the vaccine for shingles, also known as herpes zoster, had a 16% lower chance of having a major cardiovascular event. The CDC recommends 2 doses of the shingles vaccine for adults age 40 and over to prevent shingles and other related complications. Well, 80% of Americans have no idea that a person could have early stage prostate cancer with no symptoms. The findings of an Ohio State University survey underscore why regular screenings are so important. Prostate cancer is one of the most common cancers among men and affects 300,000 Americans every year. But if caught early, it's highly treatable. And a new study finds that college alcohol abuse can cause harm even to students who don't drink. An alcohol research group survey found 15% of students said they'd been harassed by someone under the influence of alcohol, and 5% had been physically assaulted or experienced unwanted sexual contact. 3% reported others' alcohol abuse hurt them academically, including having to drop a class or take on extra work. And that's a look at some of today's top health stories. We'll be right back. Right now at 5:30, Pittsburgh's fire chief takes on a new role. We'll have the details and what the plan is for filling his seat.
And we've got some patchy fog out there this morning, so we got to watch out for that. Additionally, it's going to be a little warmer by this afternoon. Details coming up.
Plus, the JRAH wants to hear from you about how to improve the Joplin area.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Well, good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5:29. I'm Elise Snowy.
And I'm Chris Warner. It's finally Friday here in the 4 states, August the 29th, and it's been a week For sure, it has been.
Right,
The last
it's
week
been
of
a little bit of a
August
roller
has been,
coaster.
yeah, a little bit. Some had that heavy rain, the flooding concerns yesterday. Temperatures well below average out there. In fact, we tied a record low that was set in 62 just a couple 3 days ago. So, I mean, it's been an interesting week.
It really has,
and it's going to wrap up on a pretty calm, decent note heading into the holiday weekend. We're going to start, though, with a live look downtown Pittsburgh. And things are looking pretty good so far out there. But you can see, if you look just down Broadway there to the south, you can see a little bit of that haze off in the distance, because we do have at least some light fog in the downtown area. KDOT camera 69 East 520th Avenue south of Pittsburgh. We also have, you can see some of that fog there as well. Our camera 7th and range line, you see the low clouds, and it's getting just a wee bit hazy out there, so some light fog. And same from the MoDOT camera 20th and range line. We still have at least some pretty decent visibility so far, but we do have dense fog advisories in the dark gray here, all of these running through 10 a.m., and that is because of, well, this. Iola still at 0 visibility. Fort Scott, Nevada, Stockton, below 1 mile of visibility. Yates Center, Pittsburgh, Joplin, Carthage reporting reduced visibilities. Also, that's it. And this is the best example of this. First, we do have some patchy fog outside of that. Not as dense as in this zone, but still some patchy fog out there. But we discussed a couple of days ago, you know, these are just points on a map. This is another great example. Visibility in Joplin from our cameras, the one at 7th and range line and the MoDOT camera at 20th, looks good. This is coming from the airport. That's another great example of how quickly those visibilities can change on you. So remember, low beams, not your high beams, fog lights if you've got them. Heading into the afternoon, we're going to spend the majority of this day mostly cloudy. It won't be until the late evening hours that we'll start to clear out just a wee bit. A little cool this morning, 60 Joplin, 62 Pittsburgh, and across the area, temperatures into the mid to upper 50s and low to mid 60s. So pretty decent spread out there. Stockton, one of the cool spots at 55. Neodesha and Sedan, still the warmer spots at 66. Kids getting on the bus this morning, cloudy, foggy out there, about 60. Low 70s by lunch and recess time, upper 70s by the time that bus brings them home. That's where our highs are headed. We'll go mid 60s by 9, low 70s by noon, upper 70s, low 80s for our highs. And again, with those mostly cloudy skies. Well, now look at your forecast. Talk about how the holiday weekend is shaping up here in just a few more minutes. Elise?
All right, Chris, thanks. Well, Pittsburgh Fire Chief Taylor Cerny will be transitioning to battalion chief after leading the department for 3 years. His new role will be more hands-on as he'll work more closely with emergency response operations. Though Cerny says he's proud of his work as chief, he says he found the administrative side less fulfilling.
Overall, it was the best choice for my family, for my career, and I believe for the department. I love running calls. I love going to fires, to medical calls, and being on the truck and being that guy who is able to make a direct difference in somebody's life.
During his time as chief, the department purchased a new engine and is on the verge of acquiring another. Self-contained breathing apparatus were improved as well. Cerny will remain chief until the department names a replacement. And the Joplin Regional Alliance for Health is asking the community to help shape the future of healthcare in the region. The group launched a survey to gather feedback from both healthcare workers and local residents. The JRAH wants to hear new ideas for making services more accessible, to improving efficiency and identifying gaps that need attention. The results will help guide future initiatives, including new technologies, programs, and even economic opportunities that could bring jobs to the region.
We'd like to hear their ideas. We'd like to hear their wants, things that they believe will make healthcare more accessible, easier to use, and more efficient for them to want to interact with, or ideas, things that they don't think are working as well as they'd like, that they can tell us, hey, we want to see this. So new ideas and things that will make it better.
Anyone 18 or older is encouraged to take part, whether you're a patient, a caregiver, or work in the industry. Football season is officially underway for Gorilla fans. Fans gathered at the Pit in Pittsburgh last night to cheer on the Gorillas in their season opener against Ferris State. The watch party featured food and drink specials, with the crowd rallying together to kick off the football season.
I've been a Pittsburgh State University football fan my entire life. There's a photo of my grandpa showing up to the hospital the day I was born with Pitt State booties. So I've been loving Pitt State football for as long as I can remember. I'm a 2023 Pitt State grad, and I just love Pitt State football.
The final score of that game was Pitt State 17, Ferris State 34. We'll, of course, have more on that later on in sports. CASA employees receive a pleasant surprise, the gift of a storm-proof playhouse. The initial cost made the children's advocates in Joplin believe the project was out of reach. But as KOAM's Lonnie Walton reports, a local church stepped in to make the project a reality.
In the summer, I had approached my boss, Debbie, about getting a playhouse for our backyard.
Erica Freeborn is a CASA employee in Joplin. She had wishes of having a playhouse, but had trouble finding a good deal.
It'd be a little pricey and maybe not exactly what we wanted, and so we approached Brad, who works here as well, and he said he could build us something.
Brad Crane is the advocate supervisor for CASA. He's the one responsible for building this playhouse, but he didn't do it alone.
Kansas City University had their We Care Day. They sent me 9 volunteers, and they helped me pull it off of my trailer and put the pieces out here, and we got 90% of the frame together.
Now, Crane thought he had enough funding to complete the project, but underestimated it. But things took a turn when he received an unexpected phone call from First Baptist Church in Diamond.
Gave us $1,700, which was like $200 more than I expected this to actually cost.
Now, this congregation had no idea of CASA's situation. Tivis Booth is the pastor.
Didn't round the number or anything. It's definitely a God thing that it worked out, and we were excited that it did.
This playhouse is weatherproof according to Brad, and top-notch security.
Any direction, you should be able to see inside. The inside doesn't have any, the trusses are open, so as long as you're under 7 foot tall, you can stand up inside.
Just as a safe space, even when doing pretend play.
And leaders tell me the playhouse will hopefully bring joy to children for a long time. Reporting in Joplin, I'm Lonnie Walton, KOAM News.
CASA says Jasper County currently has more than 350 children in foster care. They say volunteers are always needed. And that's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. A salmonella outbreak linked to eggs sickens more than 90 people across 14 states. Plus, Mexico sees an uptick in New World screwworm cases. What this means for the U.S. We'll have the latest time now. 5:37. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. Well, a new government report shows the U.S. economy expanded the second quarter of this year. The U.S. economy grew faster than expected between April and June. New Commerce Department data shows the nation's gross domestic product expanded at an annual rate of 3.3%, up from the agency's initial 3% projection. The government says increased consumer spending and greater business investment in artificial intelligence drove the uptick. This after numbers showed that the U.S. economy shrank 0.5% during the first 3 months of 2025. Well, Country Eggs is recalling its large brown cage-free sunshine yolks because of a possible salmonella contamination. The eggs are sold under multiple brand names. According to a notice from the Food and Drug Administration, there have been more than 90 reports of illnesses so far across 14 states. More than 70 illnesses were reported in California, where the egg producer is based. Federal regulators are investing, and consumers can return the recalled eggs to their place of purchase for a refund. And this weekend's Powerball jackpot is now close to $1 billion. The last time someone won the big prize was 3 months ago, and tomorrow night's jackpot is the 6th largest in the game's history, with a cash value of more than $428 million. That's a look at Consumer Watch. Let's take it over now to Chris.
What in heaven's name would you do with all of that money? Like, I've come up with a list, and even then you couldn't spend it all. Like, what? That's why I don't understand super billionaires and stuff. Like, what do you do with all that? I don't know. If you have a good list of things you could spend it on, maybe share it. Give some people some inspiration if you were to win. And right now, not a good time to run out and grab a Powerball ticket. We got some dense fog across the area. It will eventually clear out, so maybe grab one this afternoon. We're going to talk about the fog. We're going to talk about our holiday weekend and some warm weather that's on the way when the KOAM Morning News returns. Time now is 5:41.
Well, from dangerous parasites to orange juice changes, Mexico battles a livestock threat while the FDA considers new citrus regulations. The agricultural stories affecting your daily life.
I'm Clinton Griffiths with today's Ag Day Minute. Mexico's reportedly seen a 53% jump in cases of New World screwworm in animals. Reuters reporting the country has recorded 5,086 cases as of August 17th. Now it says the vast majority of cases were identified in cattle, but Mexican government information also showed infestations in dogs, horses, and sheep. Screwworms are parasites that eat warm-blooded animals alive and can devastate cattle herds and wildlife. Now, USDA is sending a team to Mexico in 2 weeks to verify Mexico is following protocols to prevent screwworms' northern spread. The orange juice you buy at the grocery store could soon have less sugar in it. The FDA is proposing a new regulation that would lower the minimum Brix requirement. That's the measure of sugar and other dissolved solid content of a liquid. Now, this change would drop the amount of sugar in OJ from 10.5 to 10 degrees Brix. It came about due to the orange juice industry advocating for the update as they battle back from citrus greening and several hurricanes, which can hurt production. Now, industry leaders say consumers won't notice a change in taste. And White Castle has long been a late night haunt, and now the fast food chain is releasing the top menu items that customers crave the most at night. It says cheese fries, desserts on a stick seem to be the most popular, along with its chicken slider. For more Ag News, watch Ag Day weekdays on the station or get updates over at agweb.com.
Let's take it over now to Chris for a full look at your forecast.
Yeah, we are contending with some dense fog across the area. We're going to start with that. This is our dense fog advisories across the area that run through at least 10 o'clock this morning. And just because you're not under a dense fog advisory doesn't mean we don't have fog outside of this zone. But this is where the densest fog is expected. And really, this is where we're seeing it. Iola, still zero visibility. Fort Scott, pretty much zero. Nevada, Stockton, you've improved to just over a mile. Same Pittsburgh, Joplin, Carthage, some improvements there. But again, Newada, Independence, Sedan, Fredonia, we do have some areas outside of the dense fog advisories that are experiencing some reduced visibilities. We're talking 54, 69, 160, I-49, parts of I-44. So if you're commuting this morning, low beams, not your high beams, fog lights if you've got them. Slow down. Give yourself time to get where you're going, and of course, watch out for the potential for rapidly changing visibilities on the roadway as well. Once we get past the fog, which should burn off by about 10 o'clock or so this morning, which is why those fog advisories run until that point. Got a pretty decent day. Future Track suspecting maybe a sprinkle or two. Honestly, if we saw anything, it's like a 1 or 2% chance of any kind of rain today. Not expecting much. It'll simply be mostly cloudy, and we'll start to go partly cloudy late evening and overnight. Then the fog will return. Dense fog once again to start our Saturday. We briefly go back to mostly cloudy skies, and as the morning progresses, we return to partly cloudy skies, but then we start to see opportunities for some isolated pop-up showers and storms on Saturday. You can see they are quite isolated, and remember, with pop-up showers and storms, it's not a guarantee they'll be exactly where you're seeing them here. It's just indicating it's a possibility, but most of us will remain dry. Those will leave us by late evening, and then as we head into our Sunday, we're going to start the same way. We'll be partly to mostly cloudy initially. Could even get a couple of organized showers, maybe a rumble of thunder. Nothing severe expected by any means. And then just opportunities here and there for pop-up showers and storms through about 5, 6 o'clock Sunday evening as well. For our morning, again, fog running through about 10 o'clock. Cloudy skies otherwise. Low 60s to start, near 70 by 11 o'clock this morning. So again, that's about as warm as we managed to make it yesterday for some of us. Today, a bit warmer, still below average though. We'll go upper 70s, maybe some low 80s, mostly cloudy. Southeast winds 5 to 10. Through the evening, again, late evening, it's when we start to go partly cloudy. Upper 60s near 70 by 10, low 60s tonight. Calm winds, and again, the return of that patchy dense fog. Tomorrow, low 80s, mid 80s, low 80s, mid 80s. Not bad. Isolated pop-up storm chances again for the Labor Day weekend, so don't cancel your plans. Just keep in mind, when thunder roars, head indoors. All right, if you hear the thunder, you're outside, you're grilling, whatever the case may be, just make sure you've got a dry, safe spot to go, just in case. And next week, we were looking at getting into some low 90s. While we may still get a little warm next week, we're not looking at getting as hot as we were originally thinking, and that's, again, not necessarily a bad thing by any means. Let's check your forecast. We're going to send it over to Elise now with sports.
All right, Chris, thanks. Well, the Riverton Rams are coming off back-to-back playoff sectional appearances, and as they enter the 2025 season, there will be some new faces at different positions. With only 4 seniors at this year's roster, the Rams will rely on their large junior class and underclassmen to fill in key spots. Head coach Danny Weaver says the program isn't afraid to have freshmen take the field on the Friday nights, and that depth is crucial to a successful team.
At our level in a 2A football, we feel like especially early, the team who's in the best shape and the team who can play more guys on the first Friday night has the best chance to win. So we like to get guys off the field. Sometimes our guys are two-way guys. They're going to play every defensive snap and every offensive snap. So we really start the season looking with what guys can we have that can come in and support us on special teams right now. So you have a chance to play here early if you can be a great special team guy. And I think our guys buy into that. We got guys that have been willing to change positions this year. Coach, I want on the field now.
And that team-first mentality has flourished for Riverton, with multiple skill position players making the move to the offensive line where the Rams need to fill holes. The coaching staff credits the squad's bond and chemistry for the sacrifices made to better the team.
We got Roland Watkins. He came out, showed up at summer weights, put some weight on. Got Jared Moran. He's my grade, junior. He put some weight on, put some strength. He's ready to go. It definitely shows. You know the ones that are going hard, you know the ones that are slacking, so definitely shows.
For kids to say, you know what, I'm going to do what I can to help everyone else out. And it's a really close-knit bunch of guys, and I think that ties into it. When your kids get along and they believe in each other, they're willing to do whatever it takes to help their buddy. So that philosophy that they've kind of adopted, obviously as a coach, every coach preaches that, man, team first, team first. But until those cats that are out here doing it every day in the heat and getting banged up on Friday nights, until they buy into it, it doesn't work, and they're a family.
Riverton kicks off their 2025 schedule at home against the Lions at Baxter Springs next Friday. And last year, the Columbus Titans returned to the playoffs with the regionals appearance. And as the season starts in just over a week, the Titans are looking to build off of 2024. With the sights set on another playoff run this year, Columbus is learning from their mistakes a year ago. The focus going into 2025 is to never be satisfied and continue to work each and every week for something better and something more.
The big thing for us is just to maintain consistency. We had our first winning season in 3 years last year. At the end of last year, the big thing we battled was complacency. After you go through those struggles in the summer, the preseason, going through those struggles, losing ball games, come back to win ball games, and then figuring out what it takes to win, you kind of lose sight of that at times. So this group knows what it takes to win, and they've just got to know that they've got to put in just as much work as every class before them to maintain that success.
All offseason, the Titans have battled the outside noise, with the community thinking they will take a step back this season. However, Columbus has used that noise as motivation for every practice and every rep, getting ready to prove their doubters wrong.
Public perception in Columbus, Kansas is this group's going to take a step back. And they don't want to be a group that takes a step back. That's not how they want to be remembered. And so, again, perception in our community is these guys are going to struggle this year. And I just think that's really what's driving them right now. It's what's driving me as a coach, is to help them have that success and prove people wrong. I honestly lean into it. Tell them, like, hey, these people don't think much of you, and that should motivate you each and every week. And when they think a lot of you, that should motivate you even more to play harder.
We've already been written off the script, so that's been our motivation all summer long, just to keep that back in the mind and just keep on going. Really keeps us motivated just to keep on pushing, just made us stronger, faster.
Columbus opens their season on the road against Independence next Friday, September 5th. And that's a look at sports. We'll be right back. A grizzly bear at Wisconsin's Milwaukee County Zoo enjoyed a dip in a pool in its enclosure as the National Weather Service forecasts unseasonably cool weather through the weekend. Now, this footage was published by the Milwaukee Zoo, which they described as a very good day for the zoo. And here's a look at a group of adorable meerkats that were filmed playing together at the Oakland Zoo. Lots of great animals having a good time for the start of the weekend.
Indeed. Look at, remember, Timon was a meerkat in The Lion King.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think those ones talk. They probably don't sound like Nathan Lane either. I would be impressed if they did, though. And something you need to be impressed with is the location knowing the location of your fog light switch if you've got them, because you're going to need them. We've got dense fog out there. In fact, dense fog advisories for the northeastern half of our area through 10 a.m. Cloudy skies otherwise, and we've got low 60s to start, near 70 by 11 a.m. We're going to be warmer today. Even though we're looking at being mostly cloudy for about 90% of today, it still will be warmer. Upper 70s, maybe some low 80s, southeast breeze 5 to 10. And what I mean by that is, take a look, we're still mostly cloudy through 8, 9 o'clock tonight. It won't be until much later this evening that we'll start to go partly cloudy, but we're going to see the return of dense fog overnight tonight as well. Calm winds back into the low 60s. Heading down the road into the holiday weekend. Now, don't let these little raindrops and lightning bolts make you think, oh, great, now I can't do anything for Labor Day, because that's not the case. You need to also look at these percentages. They're pretty low still. They've gone back to what they were a few days ago. I know the rain chances kind of went away, but as we've gotten closer, it's what we've talked about before, too, with pop-up storms. The computer models really have a hard time with them because there's not a very specific trigger like we've talked about. There's not an upper level disturbance, a low pressure system, a cold front, something to trigger the storms. They're just kind of happening. So that's why it has a hard time with them. We'll be in the low to mid 80s. These will be isolated. So again, don't cancel your plans. Just remember, when thunder roars, head indoors. Make sure you've got a dry and safe place to go just in case through Labor Day. And not looking to get as hot at this point as we were yesterday either as we roll into next week. Some isolated storms hanging out in the 80s and even some upper 70s next week. Let's check your forecast. Oh my, we've got another hour of the KOM Morning News right after this.